Okay, Sean. So good practice today. You guys just getting back from the break. How long were the guys off?
We gave them off. Our last practice was the 19th, so most of the guys were finished with finals at that point. So they had like 5-6 days off total. They're getting workouts in back home and at their high schools. But it was great to have them back in the room today, and I thought they looked really good.
The guys that looked good for me were Canaan, looked really good. I saw him beat up on Drew Madden a little bit. I didn't like that. But and then looking at Cam Amin, he looked really good, and then Mason, right? When you guys got talent,
Yep.
right? You got talent coming out of the gate, and so what's going to happen to Canaan actually?
Yeah, I mean, Canaan came to us early in the season, and really, I think for him, kind of had a change of heart where he really wants to compete this season. Originally, he thought about Olympic redshirting. We started to go down that path with him, but he has 2 years of eligibility left, and he came to us, early in the season and just said he really wanted to compete. His heart was in college wrestling this year, and so we said, sure, okay, well, let's put a plan together, and he'll be enrolling. He's back enrolled in school, and he'll be wrestling at the Midlands, and he's excited.
I didn't know this, but he has a fiance that moved from Iowa.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
crazy of a move has it been for that kid? And, he's 45 minutes away from home. He was 9 hours away from home. To get a kid like that, to get a quality kid like that into your program now, what's it been like for you guys, and what do you think it's been like for the kid?
Yeah, I mean, he's absolute tremendous student athlete. I mean, gives you everything he's got, every practice. He's just great, overall just behavior, academic, his habits. He's really serious about, his schoolwork and the way he trains. He's a great leader in the team, but he's a kid, like, really, I mean, I'm never disappointed in what he puts on the mat, brings to the team. He's just been a tremendous asset, and we thought that about him when we were recruiting him. So for him, when things didn't work out, and he contacted us about coming back and going to school at the University of Michigan, we knew we were just getting a tremendous young man.
I look at the team this year. You got all these guys, obviously Olympic redshirting, but the focus is 2019, 2020, and I think a lot of everybody wants to talk about what's gonna be. You got to focus this year. You got a job to do this year. Michigan's got to crack the top 10. You've been a trophy team. In 2018, you guys took fourth. It can be trophy season. Things happen, right?
Yeah.
What do you guys got to do to put the best team on the mat? You got Oregon State coming up, right?
Yeah.
That's the next competition. What do you got to do to going into dual season? Win all the duels you can in the Big Ten and put the best team out there. What do you guys got to do?
So from early in the season, when we made the decision to Olympic redshirt, some of these guys, we talked about just the opportunities for a lot of our young, really talented guys that have been in the room working hard, and the process of just focusing on development every week, getting technically better, getting mentally tougher, getting stronger, everything it takes to be successful. And that we were going to focus on that week in, week out. And obviously, anytime you step on the mat, whether it's individual match, dual meet, tournament, the goal is to win. But the process to do that, you got to be really excited about the process of doing that, which is the hard work. And even, when people want to talk about next year, all the work's today, next week, this year, that's all the work. So we're focused on this season and the guys that are competing and going to be, representing Michigan this season, and all that work we do, that's all going to build into next year also.
Mason Paris is in an all-time great weight class. You and I were just talking about it, right? And we've always had great heavyweights in the United States of America. He's caught in this just crazy vortex of great heavyweights right now. Gable's back for Minnesota.
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't worry about that. You worry about who Mason's got to be. He's got this crazy rivalry upstate with the Central Michigans, Matt Stencil, right? And there's just a lot of great heavyweights. How do you guys get him focused to win an NCAA title this year?
He's pretty focused on his own, but for him, it's really just we focus on his development. He's a guy that does so much wrestling he can learn, and he's real spongy about it. So he's constantly trying to improve his wrestling. He's just such a tough kid mentally, tremendous athlete. He's really put on a lot of size and strength. So we're just really focusing on his experience, wrestling, just skills, tactics, and mostly focused on Mason, not so much, the other heavyweights. Obviously, we're paying attention to the weight class, and it's exciting that Gable's back wrestling for Minnesota. I mean, we got a dual meet with them on January 19th, and as wrestling fans around the state, you couldn't ask for a better match to come see than those two heavyweights, and the different heavyweights in that division. I mean, it's just a tremendous time to be competing in that weight class.
Hilger's a Michigan guy. I just found that he's from Michigan.
Yeah.
And then, obviously Kassar, we don't know what's up with him right now. He got maybe hurt at the Open, right? So it's just like, it's crazy to look at what NCAA wrestling could be at 285. Okay, so 149 is wide open too, right? Does that go into the decision for Canaan and you guys a little bit? Because it's open.
Yeah, I think, obviously, Canaan, he's been in between 41 and 49. So that was originally, even into the summer when we were having conversations about potential Olympic red shirts, that was, something that was in the consideration was his weight class and his size and where he was at. And he kind of hit a big growth spurt this fall. He was just focused on, lifting and skill development, but he really kind of hit a growth spurt. So he's definitely big enough now to be a bona fide, title contender at 149. So I think that did play in a part of his decision, and just what we're evaluating for this year and next year.
Will at 157. Will's a world champion. Will knows how to win, right?
Yeah.
What do you got to do to get a guy like Will in the top 8 and get him some confidence? And that's a guy that can win. He can win, and he's right there. You don't have Nolf at 157 anymore. There's guys who he can beat. He can beat the top level guys. Is there any question in your mind that he's a blue chipper and he can't get there?
No, Will's an incredible competitor, and I know he's very confident. There's obviously development and skill, things we're going to continue to build and work on throughout this season. But Will's been in a lot of big matches. Will's real tenacious and stingy. He's good at winning the tight matches, and sometimes as a freshman, that can be the difference. You got to be comfortable, in some of those tighter matches and keep your composure and, know how important it is to ride when you need to ride, know how important it is to get your riding time, know how important it is to get an escape at the end of a period, so those little things. But Will's a great competitor, so we got a lot of confidence in Will.
All right, Jelani at 184, right? He seemed to be like on the mend a little bit. He's so explosive. Does he hurt himself? What does that guy do? He's a freak.
Yeah, his body's wound pretty tight. So in terms of training him and some of the things we do, we got to just treat his body a little different sometimes. There's been a lot of stretching, a lot of flexibility, work with him. He's got a ton of strength, but he had a really good fall. It was one of his probably the best preseasons since he's been here. He was really healthy. He trained really hard. His effort was just through the roof every day, and just continue to make sure that we keep him healthy through the second half of the season is really important.
All right, what are you guys doing, 25, 33? What are you doing with a lot of these weights where obviously you're redshirting really good guys or you're trying to get guys up to weight or whatever you're doing? What are you doing at 25, 33, 41? What are you doing with some of those weight classes?
Yeah, I mean, Jack Melley's been wrestling tremendous. I mean, he's a guy that I see a ton of improvement week in, week out. He's a great competitor, pound for pound. He's, arguably the hardest working guy we have in the room. So I'm excited to see him start to compete into this Big Ten season. And he won't go to the Midlands, but he'll be ready to go for Oregon State. Austin Acid is back on the mat, healthy. He should be ready to go for Oregon State. So excited to see him back on the mat. And it's just a process looking at these guys week in, week out. Still early in this second half of the season, so there's guys who are just looking at training, health, and how they're performing.
Cole Matten, 41. I saw him at 41, right?
Yep.
So you've still got some positions where you're trying to iron out who's going to be on the mat and wrestle, going into the Big Ten.
Yep.
And then you get the luxury of figuring that out, right?
Yeah, and Cole's another one. He's just a tremendous competitor, and a guy that didn't spend, he didn't wrestle year-round in high school. He played other sports. His baseball, golf, wrestling, so he's really, over this last 2 years, I've seen him really fall in love with the sport, and he's making tremendous gains every week, and he's a great competitor. He came to us, and he said, I want to wrestle. He was so excited about wrestling. He didn't want a red shirt. He's really excited about competing. It doesn't mean he can't red shirt somewhere else down the road, but I think he saw an opportunity, to compete at 141, and he's fired up to do it.
Who's an XFactor guy you'd throw out there maybe we didn't mention? Who's someone that's right there on the cusp of someone who could crack the lineup for you, get top 3 in the Big Ten and make a run at the NCAAs? Is there somebody who you kind of see that has those intangibles? Obviously, Jelani, I think, can do it, but is there someone we haven't talked about who's really working and kind of toiling behind the scenes that we're not seeing?
No, I mean, I think the guys we talked about, I believe these guys are all in that position, and it's just a matter of how much momentum, the gains they continue to make week in, week out. I think Max Mailer's a guy that just recently got in our lineup at 174, and Max he's a fun wrestler to watch, and he's got great instincts. And he's another one, he's a little raw, and he's had some injuries early on in his redshirt year here, so he didn't get as much mat time, as some of the other guys did. But I'm seeing him really make some gains, and he had some good matches, I saw a lot of good minutes from him, out in the Vegas tournament. And I'm excited to see him start wrestling going into this Big Ten season.
And you got Jackson at 97, right?
Yep, Jackson will be back wrestling at 97. He was a little banged up, so he wasn't out of Cliff Keen, but he should be good to go for the second semester. Unfortunately, we had some depth at that way with Andrew Davison also, but Andrew Davison, had to get a knee scope, so he's on the shelf for a little bit. But there's some young guys who've been working hard that have been behind the scenes, and but we got some good depth.
January 4th or 5th against Oregon State.
January 5th, Oregon State. We got an exciting second half of the schedule. We got a couple things at home right away. Oregon State on the 5th, Michigan State, which is always fun, on the 10th. Then we have Maryland at home, 17th. And then we have a big duel at Chrysler Arena with Minnesota, which are some great matchups, and cap it off with Mason and Gable.
Please start at 125.
Really?
Please start at 125. Don't do that to me. Start at 125.
Nobody's walking out of the arena after 197
No.
these days.
No.
We have and then we have that Super Saturday duel, which is really going to be a fun event to participate in. It's at Madison Square Garden, and it's Michigan wrestling versus Rutgers, and then right after us, Michigan basketball plays Rutgers in Madison Square Garden.
That's sweet.
So that's going to be just a great event to be a part of, and a lot of fun for our guys.
All right, Coach. Well, I'm going to talk RTZs with you a little bit. We're going to do that separately, but you got anything else for me? Go Blue?
Go Blue.
All right, good luck to you guys. Happy New Year.
Thanks.